Hi, I'm Justin Boyd.
And I'm extremely tired. And we are the Watchers in the Basement.
But you're going to give maximum effort, right, Brittany?
Depending on what I do, yes, maximum effort for this pod because this is something I do enjoy. So maximum effort.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. Welcome to the Watchers in the Basement. We are here today to discuss Deadpool 2. The reason for that, of course, is it's Deadpool and Wolverine week. The movie is only 2 days away from coming out. Actually, as we're recording this on a Tuesday, July 23rd, the movie, actually, the world premiere was last night, July 22nd, New York City. Several other theaters around the country, people have already seen the movie. So, again, I just want to warn you, stay off the internet. I've heard something very interesting that you should not look at IMDb because IMDb apparently is spoiling all the cameos. So do not look at IMDb. I will not do that. I got a heads up about that. I've heard a lot of like great non-spoiler things. People really love the movie. I can't wait to see it. I'm seeing it Thursday. As you can tell, I've got my Avengers hat on. I've got my I've got my Deadpool as all the OG Avengers shirt on.
All right, back up so we can see it. Okay. For
Yeah.
those watching YouTube,
Yeah.
this is amazing.
There
The
we go.
shirt.
So Deadpool is all the OG Avengers from the first Avengers movie.
Oh man.
I cannot wait. Super excited. And yeah, and honestly, this Deadpool 2 is the final movie before we get to Deadpool and Wolverine. It's the final on our rewatch tour, or Mutant Rewatch tour, I should say. And let's get right to it. But before I get Brittany's general thoughts on the film, let me hit you with some Deadpool 2 facts. The movie was released May 18th, 2018. It's the 11th installment in the X-Men film series. With a budget of 110 million, it made 785 million worldwide, making it the highest grossing film in the X-Men series. And it's also the third highest grossing R-rated film of all time behind Joker and Oppenheimer. Obviously, when it was released, it was the number one uh, highest grossing film, replacing Deadpool 1, which was also the highest grossing R-rated film. I'm going to make a prediction that Deadpool Wolverine will be the highest grossing R-rated film of all time very, very soon. Runtime, 2 hours, 1 minute. Rotten Tomatoes score of 85%. So the critics enjoyed this movie, as did the fans. Brittany, are you aware there are 3 versions of this film? There is the theatrical version, which is available on Disney Plus, which is what I rewatched.
Yep.
There is an extended cut called the Super Duper Cut, which I have seen. It was available on some service a few years ago. I remember watching it there. It's got about 10 or 15 minutes of extra stuff, mostly Deadpool killing people from the opening sequence. And then there was the PG-13 version, the Christmas movie, the Once Upon a Deadpool, which have you seen that one, Brittany, by any chance?
You know, I'm aware of all the different versions of
Yeah.
Deadpool 2, but I have only seen the theatrical version. I really wanted to see the holiday kind of cut because they went ahead and brought back Fred Savage, who
Yeah.
who was known for being in The Princess Bride, and the whole setup with the bedroom and the grandfather telling him the story, and this is we're getting the story of Deadpool, so it's hilarious.
Yeah, instead of the grandpa telling young Fred Savage the story of Princess Bride, we have Deadpool kidnapping an adult Fred Savage and forcing him, tying him to his bed and making him listen to the story, the PG-13 version of Deadpool 2. You should definitely check it out if you get a chance. Actually, just for note, like OG watcher Nathan, I actually bought him that for his birthday or Christmas a couple years
Aw.
back. So I wish I'd purchased a copy for myself because I really would like to have one, and I think I'll be looking for that pretty soon. But you should definitely check that out if you enjoy Deadpool 2. The movie, directed by David Leitch, it's written by Rhett Reese, Paul Wernick, and Ryan Reynolds. Some guy named Ryan Reynolds.
That
Yeah,
asshole.
right. And the cast includes, of course, Ryan Reynolds, Josh Brolin, Morena Baccarin, Julian Dennison, Zazie Beetz, TJ Miller, Brianna Hildebrand, Leslie Uggams, and Karan Soni. Brittany, what are your initial thoughts of the film Deadpool 2?
I mean, it's just as much of a good time as it is the first one. Now, is it my favorite Deadpool out of the 2 that we currently have? I actually am more partial to the first one. I think just because the sheer introduction of Ryan Reynolds' true version of Deadpool and all the wow kind of factors with not only his fighting style, but just how completely unhinged he is.
Mhm.
And so, of course, with the sequel, you already know what to expect. But for me, because I didn't know what to expect with the very first movie, that's why I'm more partial to the first movie as opposed to this one. But this one is a great time. I love the addition of the cast, of course, with X Force, which is great. I absolutely love the kid too. I love the kid
Yeah.
Russell. I think he had a lot to offer with this role and in this movie. And then, of course, one and only Josh Brolin. Josh Brolin as Cable, but he was already in the Marvel Cinematic Universe at the time with portraying Thanos, and so he's in another Marvel, adaptation or another Marvel movie, even though it wasn't MCU at the time. But to be Cable, and I really feel like he truly embodies Cable, and we talked about this when we did our X-Men 97 review, which I'm also wearing the shirt because X-Men
Yep.
is very much affiliated with Deadpool or vice versa. But the Cable that we got in X-Men 97, I was like, oh my God, this sounds like Josh Brolin. Like, did they do that purposefully? Like, this is
Right.
bonkers to me. But anyway, yeah, great movie. Lots of great one-liners, especially in the beginning of the movie. I think that intro is just so shocking.
Yeah.
Like, it's also Deadpool. It's what you expect.
Yeah, no, it's great. You mentioned the, X-Men '97, and this is something I wanted to ask you about because after watching X-Men '97, of course, I also watched the entire OG animated series. I watched all 5 seasons of it before X-Men '97. To me, it gave me a greater appreciation. There were some references of Deadpool too that I did not get, like for the fact that Shatterstar, one of the X-Force members, he says he's from Mojo World, which, the first 10 times I watched this movie, that went over my head. And now I understand what Mojo World is. Mojo obviously is the character from the animated series. Um, yeah. So
Oh,
so I was gonna
wow.
ask you, did you have a greater appreciation for some of the references? Because even Cable, for example, I remember when I first saw this movie, and by the way, we saw this movie together. Several of us went to
Mhm.
this movie at a, like a studio movie grill type
Yeah.
situation and saw this movie.
Yeah.
Um, there were many like even Cable, I just thought he was kind of like the villain turned frenemy, like it's almost like
Yeah.
a buddy cop film. But,
Mhm.
now that, I have a better understanding, he's Nathan Summers.
Yeah.
How did X-Men '97, did it help with your appreciation of Deadpool 2, or how did it play a factor in it at all?
Honestly, I mean, I know Cable. I know Cable's affiliation with X-Men and knew that he was the son of Jean Grey and Scott Summers. I knew about all that. What I didn't remember was whether or not Cable possessed any telekinesis, telepathic, sort of abilities like that of. And I misspoke. Not the child of Jean Grey, but the child of Madeline Pryor, right? So let me correct myself here. Regardless, what we got to see with Cable in this live action film is exactly what I, really just knew of Cable with the comics, what little I know of the comics, and then of course the show. So when watching the show, X-Men 97, I was really surprised to see like the telepathic or the telekinesis, use of Cable. But I will say, Justin, because you did ask me about Cable,
Yeah.
Josh Brolin, goddamn. Like the shirtless scene, like he's a cybernetic, soldier from the future, if you will, and seeing him shirtless, I'm just like, okay, Josh, like, okay. I appreciate this. Thank you for giving us a very Chris Hemsworth, Thor like appreciation here right here. But yeah, no, I mean this was the Cable that I more or less expected to see in the live action film.
Yeah, talking about Josh Brolin, go ahead.
I was just gonna pop over here in the chat real quick.
Yep.
Shout out to King B Johnson, Yesenia, Tracy, and Rahib for joining us in today's live chat. We appreciate you being here. Yesenia says, "Those arms."
Yeah, and speaking of those arms, Josh Brolin's he trained for 11 weeks to get in that kind of shape, and he said originally
Just
his plan
11?
well, he said originally his plan was
Wow.
to blow himself up on steroids and just eat ice cream and watch TV. However, he decided to do it the healthy way. He said he worked out 3 hours a day and gave up sugar. So,
And I'm
you know,
over here drinking a wild cherry Pepsi,
yeah. I mean,
Sponsor us.
Maybe other things were involved in him getting that shape, but whatever. It's not like he's an athlete. It's not like it's like a performance enhancing thing.
But
Um,
considering how old he was at that
right,
time, it's like
right,
that's like Hugh Jackman, getting in shape. It's impressive. It's absolutely impressive, but,
yeah. And speaking of the
hey.
Cable and Josh Brolin connection, let's go to the chat real quick. Rahib has a question. Which character do we like more, Cable or Thanos? I just want to say first, Brittany, while you kind of ponder that, I do love all the superhero references in this movie, and we're going to hit all of them because I've noted all of them. But I love how obviously Josh Brolin is the voice of Thanos in addition to playing Cable, and he was basically playing both characters at the same time. I do like it at one point in the movie when Deadpool tells him "Zip it, Thanos." I did enjoy that line.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
mean, I'm going to go with Thanos because Thanos has a much bigger impact on the MCU. But I mean, he's great as both characters. What do you think, Brittany?
Yeah, I know your feelings towards Thanos because that's your idol. That's who you aspire to be one day. Let's just be
I mean,
real.
he's not
When
my favorite character, but like, I mean,
when
did he?
in
Did
your villain era, that's who you aspire to be.
I mean, I don't think he went far enough, honestly. But kidding. I'm
There you
kidding.
go.
Kidding.
Yeah. Justin's like,
Yeah,
was he wrong though?
yeah. 50%
Um,
still a lot.
oh
like
my
let's
god.
let's cut that down. No, go ahead.
It's like instead of randomizing it, can we actually like narrow it down to specific people?
Yeah,
Anyway, I'm gonna counter your choice of Thanos. I'm gonna go with Cable. I feel like this is more up Josh Brolin's like speed of character. Not to say that he can't be a good villain because as Thanos, it's like he did an incredible job playing Thanos. However, he was all CGI, right?
yeah,
I want to see Josh Brolin as the villain. Like, yes, he could be enhanced. He could have like the makeup, cybernetic, skeletals, whatever, the eye and what have you. But it's Josh Brolin, and for me personally, I feel like I can appreciate him more in that characterization of a character than so much of Thanos.
yeah.
So yeah,
No, I got you. I think
but
honestly he's great at both. A lot of people maybe don't remember this, but before Ben Affleck was cast as Batman, Josh Brolin was the the fan pick, and he was rumored to be the guy. So obviously
really, I don't remember that at all.
that was back in like 20, what, 13 or 14, whatever, before obviously Batman versus Superman, which is
Wow.
also referenced in this movie a couple of times.
Yeah,
Um,
Martha.
yeah, I do love the reference by when Wade is late to see Vanessa on their anniversary, he's like, I was fighting this Kate badass. But it turns out
She's like,
his mom's
"No."
name was Martha also. Yeah.
She's like, "No."
Yeah. Another great reference. I love all the references.
Oh, yeah.
And, let me
So
just give
many.
my general thoughts. This is one of my not only one of my favorite superhero movies, this is one of my favorite movies, period. I think this
Mhm.
is one of the most entertaining movies ever made. I love Deadpool 1, but I'm actually one of those rare people that I actually prefer Deadpool 2 much more. I think it's a much more rewatchable movie. I think it's funnier. And, in this movie, like Ryan Reynolds, you know, since he's not only is he plays Deadpool, he's a producer, he's a
Mhm.
writer, he's also the voice of Juggernaut. He does everything, and I think he might be one of the funniest people who's ever lived. Honestly, like just seeing the breadth of his career and everything he's involved in from his marketing with Mint Mobile and his vodka or whatever his aviation gin, like all that stuff. Um, he's just very, very funny. And this
Yeah.
movie just highlights that tremendously.
No, there's no doubt about that. I think once we saw the success of Ryan Reynolds in a superhero movie,
Yeah.
uh, and seeing just how much he put himself into that role, and then now being given the credit of producer for the sequel, and being able to have even more creative liberties with the character and the storyline and what have you. I think yes, I mean he has certainly come into his own, and he's one of those actors who I think, and not that I've heard him say this, but I think if he was given the opportunity to continue to play Deadpool for the rest of his life, he absolutely would. So, I mean, that's been very true for Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp had things not gone sideways in his life and career. I think he would have continued to play Jack Sparrow, Captain Jack Sparrow, for the rest of his life. So,
I don't think we could close the book on that. I would not be surprised if if we see him back as Captain Jack at some point. Like,
Not sure. That's a separate pod, separate discussion. I can go
yeah,
on a tangent on that, but I
but
will say
when there's
he
money to be made, they're gonna try to make it. And that's both
true,
sides.
true, true,
So
true. But
yeah,
I've also heard Johnny Depp saying he's done with Hollywood, he's done with Disney, he's got no need for it, and he has other endeavors that he is pursuing. And shout out to
yep,
Johnny Depp in doing what he does, and I
yep.
still love him either way. He can get it.
And Hugh Jackman was done with Wolverine a few years ago,
That's
and
true.
in 2 days, I'm gonna be watching Deadpool and
That's
Wolverine.
true.
So,
I can't argue that. I
yeah,
absolutely
yeah.
cannot argue that. I understand.
People
Circumstances will
people
change,
come back.
people change, but, yeah, I think with Ryan Reynolds for sure, he's gonna as long as he can, he will
Right.
be Deadpool. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Raheem here, this is a great comment, by the way. He says, "Marvel should do a what if where Cable comes back from the future to stop Thanos." What do you think about that?
I think that's a great idea.
That's a
And
really great idea.
I think with What If, I mean, obviously you can do anything. And, we saw What If season 2, which we reviewed, by the way,
Mhm.
I mean, I liked What If season 1, but season 2 was such a great step up. And
So good.
I mean, the possibilities are limitless. That's a great possibility. I would love to see
Yeah.
that happen. Um, I, I, I don't know that Josh Brolin would probably voice Thanos because I don't think he voiced Thanos in What
I
If. I'd
think he
have to go.
did.
You
I
think he
think he
did?
did.
Okay. I can't
Pretty
remember
sure he did.
exactly. Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna
Um,
look it up as we're talking, but continue.
Okay. No, but, that's a great idea. I would love to see What If go crazy and just do all these kind of things. But they
For sure.
do also try to thread like a narrative story over the season, which they've done a very good job of with the first 2 seasons. So, and
Yep.
we do know there is a What If season 3 we're getting at some point, maybe around the holidays again, like last year.
That would be awesome.
I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know that I've ever heard a bad What If idea that I didn't think that I wanted to see. So, but no, that's a good one though. That'd be a really interesting uh, take on these 2 characters played by the same person.
So, yes, Josh Brolin did voice Thanos in
Okay.
What If.
Well, Brittany, let's talk about the cast. We're gonna go through the cast
Yep.
very quickly before we kind of hit our favorite moments of the film. I think Ryan Reynolds, there's not a whole lot we can say. He's awesome in this movie. He was
Mhm.
born to play this role
Yep.
because he was a writer. He ad-libbed a lot of the dialogue throughout the movie. Um, and then we'll talk about the mid-credit stuff later, which is some of the best stuff in this film.
Yeah.
So we move on. We'll move back to Josh Brolin for a second. I think it's interesting. When he signed on to play this character, he signed a 4-film deal, and he was very much under the belief that he was going to see 4 films. In fact, he thought they were going to do an X Force film with him as the kind of leader of the X Force.
Mhm.
Um, and it sounds like he's down to honor that contract that, of course, was with 20th Century Fox. Marvel, of course, purchased the rights to all that stuff and got the Fantastic Four, the X-Men, Deadpool, everything back in the House of the Mouse. I guess my question, Brittany, you think Josh Brolin's going to be in Deadpool Wolverine? Because he's one of the actors who has said, "Nope, I'm not in it," and I feel like he's gonna be in it, right?
I mean, given the knowledge that he has signed a 4-year film deal
Yeah,
to play Cable, why would you not reprise your role in the Deadpool
yeah.
series when that was your first appearance? So,
Hopefully, there's a story reason why he would be in there, but
I mean, also, like, why the hell not?
yeah,
Just
exactly,
just why not?
exactly.
He travels through time. Like, what more of a reason do you need other than that very fact?
Yeah,
So, I would love to see him again. I think it'd be fantastic to see him again. I just yeah, give
yeah.
me more.
Okay. Morena Baccarin was returned as Vanessa. Shockingly, she dies in the opening sequence of the movie, but then in the post credit or in the mid credits, she's brought back. Do you have any like over 10,000 foot view of her character thoughts you want to?
Um, Not really. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm kind of in a weird way, I was kinda glad that it wasn't very focused on her per se, like how the first movie was. Obviously, there are moments throughout the movie where Wade, Deadpool, is knocking on death's door and he can't make it through the veil, for lack of better terms,
yeah,
and get to Vanessa, and she just kinda gives him these little comments of, "Your heart's not in the right place," and he interprets it in one way, and then when he is about to die again, he sees her once more and realizes, that it's really about this kid, Russell, who is a mutant who has been really treated horribly at this orphanage, and it's up to Deadpool basically to like save this kid and make him into a better person because it ties into why Cable is in their universe, right? So I'm just actually kind of glad that we didn't get a whole lot of her. I don't remember where I read it or where I heard it, but I think she herself was like kind of uncomfortable with the role of being Wade Wilson's girlfriend, or there were certain things about that character that she was like kind of
Yeah.
uncomfortable with.
I don't think she
So,
loved the sex scenes from the first movie.
well, it's
Yeah.
very it's a lot.
Yeah. Right.
It's a lot, but, I mean, I think she and Ryan have, like, really great chemistry
Yeah.
on screen, right? You actually believe that they do care for one another and, are so excited about their future together because she, as an anniversary gift, Vanessa gives Wade, the wonderful gift of her IUD being pulled out, and he's like, "You're giving me a bomb?" And she's like, "No!" Like, he's like, "No, the
Right.
baby making factory is open." And he's like, "Oh my God. Oh my God, I want a boy or a girl," or, it's just like
Definitely one of one of either
definitely one
one
or
or
the
whatever.
other.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, those moments are nice and what have you, but I was just actually kind of glad that like the whole story didn't really involve a lot of her.
Yeah.
I really can't elaborate as to why, but
Mhm.
I was okay with it.
What'd you think about Russell Collins slash Fire Fist? Again, not the greatest superhero moniker, but the kid has cool powers, and I enjoyed this
Yeah.
aspect of the film. What'd you think about that character and the actor? Julian Dennison plays the character.
Julian did an amazing job. I did a little research on him, found out that, he's from New Zealand. He's actually part of the Maori uh, heritage. I believe he's part of a tribe over there. And I thought it was really cool with like in terms of representation, right?
Yeah.
Of including someone with a different background. Doesn't have necessarily the typical look of a superhero,
Yeah.
and I think that's something poignant when Russell is talking about like who's ever seen like a fat superhero, like when has there ever been a fat superhero? There
Right.
hasn't. So like he's already down on himself as it is based on his looks, and then to have been raised in this orphanage that is wildly like religious, and he's been tortured, he's been beaten, he's really just had a terrible time growing up with this I can't even think of the guy's name, but just this kind of preacher-esque
Yeah.
dude who is just the worst human being alive, who
Right.
truly is the villain in this whole series, sorry, sequel. So I feel for him, but I think Julian, you said his name. Yeah,
Yeah.
spaced out on his name. Julian did an incredible job. He had some funny moments, especially when they're in the jail, ice box, whatever you want to call it, when he's like wanting to take care of Deadpool, who, they're both restricted from using their powers, right? They have like these like
Mhm.
neck bands
Yeah.
and
Callers. Yeah.
the collars, thank you. And Wade's cancer is like in full force, right? His powers can't stop it. And so Russell's all like, we're gonna be partners, we're gonna, look out for each other and this and that, what have you. And Wade's just like saying these horrible things to the guy, like to him, in front of him, and just basically saying, like, I don't give a shit about this kid. And you just see that transformation, right? You
Mhm.
see how he's like longing to have someone who's like him to team up with and you know have the thing that he's been missing in his life, which was like a nurturing parent, if you will, and then see that shift of, okay, you're no better than the rest. So I'm gonna fuck you up. I'm gonna befriend the biggest guy here, Juggernaut, and we're gonna be gangsters, we're gonna be
Right.
thugs, we're gonna like fuck
Right.
up the world. And this is, I mean, he had his great moments. I think
Yeah.
he had a really great performance in this movie.
Yeah. And then the next kind of new main cast member in this movie is Zazie Beetz' Domino. Domino, whose power is just she's lucky, and which is like, Deadpool's like, that's not a superpower, but it turns out pretty handy when you're dealing with all these like crazy things and fighting these evil people, and
Mhm.
like a time traveling soldier, like there's being lucky actually sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah, she is a great addition. I love the banter between her and Deadpool when she's, like, auditioning to be part of X-Force, and, you know, pretty much at this point, Deadpool is just gonna take whoever shows up, and he's like, "Okay, well, what's your superpower?" She goes, "I'm lucky." He goes, "That's not really a superpower." She goes, "Yeah, it is." And just the back and forth again. I really haven't found someone who I feel who doesn't have great chemistry with Ryan Reynolds. And if he's like, if he can just work with anybody and everybody, like that's great. Like good for him. But with Zazie, she she just has like this wonderful like attitude, and then like when times get kind of serious, she's like, oh shit, like you dumb ass, like oh, who would have known that the wind would have been such a factor in all this? She goes, like, I knew, you knew,
Wow.
everyone knew in the plane, you dumb fuck, basically. Like she's a great addition.
Yeah, no, she definitely is. Then, of course, the returning like cast, TJ Miller is the Weasel, or as Weasel, Brianna Hildebrand, Negasonic Teenage Warhead. You've got Leslie Uggams back as Blind Owl. Karan Soni's Dopinder. Dopinder has some great moments. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. Um, the same actor that voices Colossus, Stefan Kapich, he's back. We get a different version of Yukio, which I mentioned to you when we talked about the Wolverine,
Yeah.
which Yukio was featured in the Wolverine. Different
Didn't click.
actress, different version of the character. What did you think about Yukio? I mean, she's kind of just like a little joke character, but
Yeah.
compare her to what we saw in the Wolverine.
Yeah, that was surprising. I don't know why, for whatever reasons, it didn't click that this Yukio is supposed to be the same one from the Wolverine. And that's my fault because I haven't taken the time to watch the Wolverine up until recent. So, but with Yukio, I love that Negasonic. I'm just gonna say that because it's a really long name. Has found love and is in a relationship. And Yukio is just like this really cute little person. I'd say little person, a cute girl who pink hair and she's like, "Hi, Wade." Like she's just so stinking cute, and like Wade takes to her, very quickly, and he's just like what in the ass? Well, he doesn't say that, but you know what I'm saying. Like he was just
Yeah,
in shock that Negasonic is in a relationship, and he goes on. I can't remember all that he says, but she's like, I really like this guy. Like, he just, he liked her, she liked him. It was great. Very cute, kind of like side character that's just kind of there.
yeah, yeah. No, she's a great addition. Everyone kind of works pretty well in this cast, including the X Force team, which most of them don't last very long. But let's run through those characters. We have Terry Crews as Bedlam, Louis Tan as Shatterstar, Bill Skarsgård as Zeitgeist, Rob Delaney as Peter Wisdom, aka Sugar Bear, which is what Deadpool calls him.
Yep.
Then we have Brad Pitt as as Vanisher.
Hmm.
Brad Pitt has probably the quickest or shortest cameo in the history of movies. Like
Probably.
it's he's obviously a character who is not visible until he gets shocked by lightning and you see him for like half a second. It's interesting to note that Brad Pitt was actually considered for the role of Cable, but scheduling issues prevented him from taking the role. So
I'm
we could
actually
have had a
glad he was not
yeah.
Cable.
I think Cable makes more sense. It is odd that Cable,
You
you
mean
know,
Josh Brolin?
Josh Brolin is Cable and
Yeah.
Thanos at the same time. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's different studios at that time, both
Yes.
Marvel properties, but yeah. So Brad Pitt was actually in consideration for that role. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Interesting, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm reading here that Brad Pitt kind of said that this very small role, more so invisible than anything, satisfied his curiosities of appearing in a superhero film. So he's like, yeah, like I'm good, like I'm fine. I don't need to go any further than that. Like we're solid.
yeah,
It's Brad Pitt after all, so he can do
yeah,
whatever he wants.
yeah, exactly. Um, then of course we have a brief cameo by many of the X-Men from this time period. We have James McAvoy as Professor X, Nicholas Hoult as the Beast, Evan Peters as Quicksilver, Ty Sheridan Cyclops, Alexander Shipp as Storm, Cody Smith McPhee as Nightcrawler. You see all of them in the background, a very quick little scene.
Mhm.
I did like that they showed them because in the first Deadpool movie, he's like, hey, like it almost feels like the studio didn't have the budget for the other X-Men because like you're the only one that's here talking to Colossus. So I liked how he showed the other members in the background.
Yeah, and apparently that footage was, provided to the Deadpool, crew, while X-Men Dark Phoenix was being, shot, so that's how they were able to, make that work, but because X-Men, Dark Phoenix is a Sony product still, correct?
No, 20th Century Fox.
Oh, it is 20th Century Fox,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, and it's the next movie after Deadpool 2 as far as the
Right,
X-Men films, yeah.
right, yeah, I was getting things crossed, but yeah, I thought that was a great payoff because of, just how much, not time or anything, but how often Deadpool was, like, making reference about the mansion and it just being, "Oh, it's only you 2 here," and, like you said, like, studio can afford more, and it's like, "Why is it always just you? Like, why are there no one else in this big mansion?" Then you see in the background the door being closed with the group of X-Men, so that was great. That was a great payoff.
Yeah. No, definitely. The final casting thing I want to mention, it's more of a cameo deal. The scene when Cable appears and you see the 2 rednecks and they're talking about toilet paper,
Yeah,
those rednecks are played by Alan Tudyk and a disguised Matt Damon.
yeah,
So, very I didn't know the Matt Damon part until I looked this up recently. So,
yeah,
that's, very interesting and, kind of a funny thing to do. And also we've seen Matt Damon do funny roles in Thor,
yep,
Thor was he was in both Love and Thunder and, Ragnarok.
Ragnarok.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
He sure
so
was.
very
He
very
he played
cool.
he played a, theatrical version of Loki.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, him and Love and Thunder as, like, the actual actor, he's like, I'm just trying to understand." No, but, yeah, that was news to me too when I was researching this, for this pod. It's like, "Oh, no shit, Matt Damon is giving this very thoughtful
yeah,
toilet paper, like, discussion I guess you could call it a manifesto,
yeah,
about the whole thing. It's like, no, like, what yes, you use this, but the real, like, the real thing you need to use is baby wipes.
right,
And he's so serious about it too. And I'm like,
right.
listen, he's not wrong. But but that was such, like, an odd kind of, like, scene, and
Yeah,
then, like, you entered Cable, and he's like, "What year is it?" And that also threw me back to Robin Williams and Jumanji when he
mhm,
comes back out of the board game. He's like, "What year is it?"
yeah,
And it's like, "What the hell kinda dumb question is that?" It was
yeah,
great. It was great.
yeah, no doubt. Enjoyed the humor of the film.
Oh,
Um, let's go to the chat. Rahib has a question or has a comment, and
uh did we lose Justin? I think we lost Justin. Sorry, y'all. I'm not sure what happened here. Hopefully he will come back soon. So in the meantime, I'm gonna take it away from here. So Rahib's question here is: did you hear about the rumor that in Deadpool Wolverine, Deadpool is going to travel back to the end fight of Endgame and stop Tony from snapping? Snaps and stops Thanos, resets things, and brings back Tony. That is a very interesting rumor. I know that this is going to be something that Justin will want to definitely touch on, and hopefully, like I said, he'll be back shortly. We are experiencing some weather here in Houston, and hopefully, we will be able to bring him back. Oh, he just messaged me, y'all. Apparently, the power went out at his house, so y'all get me the remainder of this pod, which probably won't last that much longer, truth be told, because this is a little. It's not as fun to run a solo pod. You got to find someone who can bounce ideas off of and continue this conversation in person. So yeah, like we that's an interesting rumor, Rahib. That's one rumor that I myself have not heard myself. And for me personally, and I think for Justin, we are trying to stay away from possible spoilers, things that may seem to be rumors, but may actually spoil the movie and things like that. So that being said, um, this was this is news to me. So Justin is calling me on my phone. Let's see if I can put him on speaker. Justin, you are on speaker with us here for the live for the live chat.
My power is out, so I can. If you want to put me on speaker, I can continue, but I can't do anything else.
Yeah, well, that seems like what we're doing. Hopefully, everyone in the chat here are still with us. Can y'all hear Justin? Let me know in the chat if y'all can still hear Justin. Yeah,
Yeah.
he unfortunately
Sorry
has a
about
power
that.
outage.
My power has gone out and come back on about 10 times in the past 2 minutes, and now it's out. Just out.
Oh gosh.
So we did have some rainstorms in the Houston area today, but
Yep.
nothing crazy. But we don't have the infrastructure to handle anything. Wind, cold, heat. We're just in a tough spot in the energy capital of the world for as it is. But no, Brittany, just kind of continuing. Hopefully, people can hear me. If you can hear me, let Brittany know in the chat. So
yeah, for sure. No, they're responding in the chat. They read you loud and clear.
Very good. Okay. Continuing on with the film, I was reading Raheem's message and I was kind of cut off by my power. So
yeah.
As far as the question about the rumor, I have heard that rumor. I don't think that we're going to see Tony Stark come back in this movie. Not that I think we definitely will see him come back at some point, but I don't think it's going to be a Deadpool Wolverine.
That would make a lot of sense. Yeah. And I was sharing with everyone. This is also weird. Like, I feel like I'm just talking to myself at this moment. But we, of course, are trying to stay away from like spoilers or things that might be deemed as rumors, but could potentially spoil something from the movie. So me personally, this was the first time I've heard of this particular rumor. So interesting concept. Me personally, I've talked about this on the pod. I don't know if I want a resurrection of Tony Stark. Not that I don't love RDJ, he's fantastic, but it would just take away how powerful that moment was of the snap and then his death and all that has since followed.
Yeah, I understand that, but I do think that there's an opportunity with the Secret Wars movie or whatever it's going to be called, because by the way, this is a busy week for all this kind of stuff. Not only is Deadpool and Wolverine coming out, they have Comic-Con this weekend. Marvel has 2 panels. They have a Deadpool and Wolverine panel on Thursday. They're probably going to announce who's directing Avengers 5 and 6. Avengers 5, which was named the King Dynasty, is probably getting. I mean, we've heard it's going to get a new name. Avengers 6, which has been listed as Secret Wars, it might get a new name also. However, with Secret Wars, that's probably where you're going to get Tony Stark coming back. So that's likely going to happen. The Russo brothers are the rumor that they're going to direct Avengers 5 and 6, much like they directed Avengers 3 and 4, Infinity War, Endgame. So we'll see if that pans out. Also, there was a Joker 2 trailer that dropped this morning, an official trailer of Joker Folie à Deux. So a lot of stuff happening in this space. Like Brittany said, we want to know what's happening, but we don't want to be too connected because I don't want to get spoiled for the movie. None of us do.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly, if you have a chance to see the movie before everyone else, don't spoil it. Because we've all been looking forward to this movie for quite a while.
For sure.
Back to Deadpool 2. The reason why I love this movie, well, there's 2 reasons why I love this movie so much. The first reason is the opening sequence. The opening sequence was about 15 minutes long before the opening credits. Is probably my favorite opening of any movie ever. It's just so funny. You've got Deadpool, he's laying down on these gallons of fuel of test fuel or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's trying to kill himself. You've got All Out of Love by Air Supply is playing in the background. He's talking about what happened in Logan with fuck Wolverine, and like he has the Logan action figure with the tree branch through its chest, and he hits the music box, which is the Air Supply song. I love all that stuff. I love how he's like, let's go back 6 weeks, to when things were better. He's killing all these thugs and gangsters and stuff, and I love the part where he's talking to the guy and he's like, he's trying to translate. He's like, "Donde está la biblioteca?"
He's like, I don't speak Cantonese, but I did take high school Spanish. And what I'll say is, "Donde está la biblioteca?" Which basically translates to like, where the fuck is your boss?
No, I don't bargain.
Oh, yeah. I don't bargain pumpkin fucker. That is not what it means, y'all.
And then, you know what? Looks like my power might be coming back. So maybe you'll see my face here in a little bit. My lights have come back on. I'm trying to get my internet back, but I'll continue to talk. Brittany, what did you think about just that part of the movie and the fact that Deadpool 2 is a family film, as Deadpool explains?
Yes, this movie is a family film as opposed to the first movie, because that was not one you bring your kids to. I thought that was another great just sort of nod to the first movie of how ridiculous everything was going to be. But then you start off with like a major explosion, and then the credits eventually roll, and you're seeing all these like slow-mo of Deadpool in various poses and things like that. And then it's like, like cinematography done by Blind Owl. Like everything is a joke. Like that's what makes this movie just so funny. It's not like at times it's a serious movie, but like it's kind of similar to like The Boys. They're poking fun at everything, but this is done in a more comedic fashion than compared to The Boys. The Boys is supposed to be like just satire, but as if it's really happening in real life. But Deadpool is just on a whole other level.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Just continue with the opening scene. The use of music in this movie, of course, I mentioned the Air Supply song. I love the 9 to 5 where he's like, hit it, Dolly. Dolly Parton song.
Working 9 to 5.
Well, he's killing people. Yeah, just all that stuff is great. I'm trying to get back on as we speak. My internet is taking a long time to connect. So this happened actually about 20 minutes before we went live. So I lost the power then too. But yeah, so that's taking a little bit.
No worries, Justin. Take your time. You're good. Shout out to Tracy here in the chat. She says her phone's about to croak. She enjoyed today's pod. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you to everyone else who's hanging in there with us as we're experiencing these technical difficulties on Justin's end. Y'all are the real MVPs in this chat. Y'all are putting maximum effort to stay with us. And it's not going unnoticed. So we appreciate it. For sure. And in the meantime, too, do us a favor. Be sure to like this video because we're still going strong. We're putting in maximum effort on our part to keep this pod review running for Deadpool 2. So yeah, hit the like button, hit subscribe if you're new here. We appreciate you being here. We enjoy what we do and we're trying to make it happen, y'all. Look at this. I'm running solo right now with my host on my phone.
Yeah, about to join back.
Hey, sounds good.
1 second here.
All right. Well, going back to the chat, Rahib has another question. It says, do you guys think we will get characters from animated Marvel series like Ultimate Spider-Man? We got Deadpool in them, and since we have got multiple Kangs, do we think we'll have them here as well? That's a great question. Not sure if I can elaborate on that. Justin's back.
I am back. Yes, I'm a time traveler.
Back.
Yeah, right.
Back again.
Yeah, so the animated characters, I don't believe we're going to get animated characters in this movie. I do think we might get characters, other Marvel movies. Like, I think we're going to get, I think we already kind of know that Elektra, Julie Gardner's Elektra is going to.
Jennifer Garner,
sorry. Jennifer Garner's Elektra is going to be in this movie. I think Ben Affleck's Daredevil might appear in this movie briefly.
I did hear that.
We might get Eric Bana's Hulk. Because remember, this is before the MCU. Chris Evans as the Human Torch. That might be on the table. Would not be surprised. If you've seen Free Guy, there is a great scene in Free Guy with Chris Evans that you definitely should check out. Yeah, I don't know. I think there's going to be a lot of cameos, but I've heard people say there's not as many cameos as you think there will be. So I don't know that we're going to get a ton of like Marvel, like Avengers cameos. I think we might get other kind of stuff. And obviously we're going to get some Avengers, but we're not going to get the OG ones, I don't think. But hopefully I'm wrong about that.
Yeah.
All
right, Justin, you're back.
Yeah, we're back.
Continue hosting.
No, yeah, exactly. Wow. That's a new one for us, losing the power in the middle of the podcast and continuing. That shows our professionalism. We continue despite the whatever the hurdle is in our way, we jump over it or we kick it down and run past it or run around
Yeah.
it. Better yet. Um,
Mm.
continuing with the opening scene after Deadpool, kills a bunch of those guys. He's running away because there's several of them chasing him. And I love how Dopinder's like listening to like a self help book or a podcast or something. Deadpool dives headfirst in the back seat. Dopinder drives away. Then like Dopinder's talking. Well, first of all, Deadpool's talking about how well the first movie did, and he's like, I'm talked about in the same sentence as Jesus. He's like, the passion of Christ, then me. And he's like, we beat him. We beat him. Overseas where there is no religion. I love that line. I love all the fourth wall breaking stuff. And then I
Yeah.
love how Dopinder is, seeking purpose and he wants to become a contract killer. And this is honestly my favorite part of the whole movie. Well, my second favorite part of the movie. My favorite part's at the very end, but my favorite part of the movie is when Dopinder asks Deadpool, he's like, "You remember Interview with the Vampire?" Which, by the way, here on the Watchers of the Basement, we love Interview with the Vampire, the TV series, not so much the movie. Not that we don't like the movie, but we love the TV series. We love all the people that joined our podcast with Brittany and Frank for that review. So shout out to Interview with the Vampire TV series. But going back to the movie, Dopinder's like, remember the movie? And Deadpool's like, I don't want to. And he's like, when Tom Cruise fed a 10-year-old Kirsten Dunst blood for the first time, and she looked at him, at his smooth, handsome face and said, I want some more. He said, picture me as a 10-year-old Kirsten Dunst. And then Deadpool's like, I'll never not picture that. Then the ride ends. He's like, you're my Tom Cruise. He's like, and you're my Kristen Dunst. Kirsten. I love that part. The fact that he doesn't know. And then like forever now, I do the same thing. Every time I see her in a movie, I'm like, is it Kirsten or is it Kristen?
Kirsten.
Yeah, it is. It's
Kirsten.
But
Yeah.
I do love that part very much. Brittany, what do you think about all the stuff I've just mentioned?
Dopinder. Gotta love that guy. I'm glad that they brought him back. I'm glad that, he started off that conversation. He's like, do you remember when I kidnapped Bantu? And Love is like, well, you murdered him. It's like, we can't gloss over the fact that I committed a violence to him. It's like, well, you murdered him. Like there is a difference, Dopinder. Like there is a huge difference between inflicting pain and violence on a person and then ending their life. So, but just how Dopinder is just very casual about it and just very like, yeah, I want to be a contract, killer. And it's like, no. And then even that continues throughout the movie, of course, where he is, starting from the bottom, right? He's mopping floors at the Wayward Sisters, where Deadpool, Weasel, and all the rest of them contract killers are huddled up and what have you. And it's like Weasel says things to Dopinder. It's like, if you want to, how did he say it? If you want to handle if you want to handle a gun, you need to learn how to handle the mop. And Dopinder's like, I don't see how the two are related. like really?
Yeah. Yeah, because Weasel's just trying to get free labor out of a Dopinder by saying it's like a Mr. Miyagi situation, like a wax on, wax off. But
exactly,
no, he's just having him clean the floors and take care of the urinals or whatever. So
yeah. But he's trying to be like very, authoritative.
Yeah,
and,
right.
And then he'll tell Wade, he's like, I'm sorry you had to see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
TJ Miller, I mean, for someone who apparently has had some not so great experiences with Ryan Reynolds. I mean, if you want to believe one story over another, there's always 2 or 3 sides to a story here, but I'm kind of guessing that TJ Miller will not reprise his role as Weasel for Deadpool and Wolverine just because of things that transpired between the 2 actors and whatnot. But for what he was in this movie along with the first, he's hilarious. Like I understand why he's in comedy. He apparently is great at improvisation. So his whole interaction with Cable as well, when Cable like kidnaps him and Cable starts talking about what he's going to do to him in order to get information. And like, I'm going to start here and then we're going to end here. And Weasel's all like, yeah, like when you start here at the very first, I'm not even making it to that point. Like I will tell you everything you need to know. Like he's like, I get nervous erections or something like that. It's like, what?
Yeah. No, I mean, TJ Miller is a very funny guy. It's but as far as like why he's not in Deadpool 3 or if he's not in the movie, he's also had a lot of issues,
Yes.
with other people in the industry and also, off camera that I think has contributed to that. And in fact, I think that he probably had a bigger role in Deadpool 2 and it was probably cut because he had some stuff going on
Mm,
even back then when that movie was being made. So
gotcha.
I don't think it's all solely, Ryan Reynolds just doesn't like the guy for whatever
Yeah.
reason. I think there's a lot of things that are in play there. But he was a great character, and I would love it if he were in the movie. I don't think we're gonna see him,
Agreed.
but who knows? Maybe somewhere down the line he returns in some form or fashion. That would be perfectly fine with me. Now let's talk about the opening credits of this film because those are also great. You've got Celine Dion singing a song, and you get the lines like produced by, "Did you just kill her?" Talking about Vanessa because we saw her die. Then it's by presented by, "What the fuck?" And then
Yeah.
in association with, "I don't understand." And then starring obviously someone who hates sharing the spotlight. Written by the real villains. Well, remember in Deadpool 1, it was written by the real heroes here. So
Yeah. Yeah.
now they're the villains. Like you
No.
said before, Brittany, cinematography by Blind Owl. And
That one
then
sent me.
yeah. And then directed by one of the guys who killed the dog in John Wick, which great moment. Um, and then I mean there's so many funny moments in this movie, but
There are.
one of the funny moments early is when Deadpool goes to Blind Owl's apartment, is the former apartment he lived with her, and he's, obviously she's blind, she doesn't see him. So
Mhm.
he's got a little hiding spot in the living room, and he's got his bag of cocaine, which is labeled, Wade's cocaine, and then he also underneath that there's a bag that says the cure for blindness. Like so,
Which is a reference to the first movie where he
yeah,
told Blind Al as he
right,
was about to go on his merry way to go kill Francis, like,
yeah,
somewhere here in the apartment is a bag of cocaine right next to the cure for blindness.
yeah,
It's like, you fucker.
yeah. No, it's what a funny movie. Then we get Wade, getting he gets taken in by Colossus, and you get the jokes in the mansion where Wade's riding around on Professor X's chair, and he's like, "Where is everybody?" He's like, "It's always just you and Negasonic, teenage longest name ever." Then
Yeah.
Colossus is always trying to get Wade to join the X-Men, and he's like, "I'm not X-Men material. First off, I'm not even a virgin," which thought that was great. Wade's wearing Cerebro, not wearing it correctly, and also not understanding that it doesn't just like predict the next thing you're gonna say. I love that stuff.
Yeah. And he runs into like the scene where they meet Russell for the first time and
Yeah,
he's like running out ahead of the crowd. He's like, "Excuse me," like, coming through, coming through. But he's wearing like this X-Men trainee
trainee thing.
shirt. And he tries to introduce himself as like, I'm part of I'm part of the X-Men trainee being
Yeah,
yelled in the background by Negasonic. Um just that was just hilarious. And him also trying to quote back Colossus, 4 or 5 moments. It's like,
right.
what? It's like 4 or 5 moments it takes to be a hero or something along those lines,
Yeah,
right? And it's just
yeah,
it does not end well for him.
yeah. Russell is like at this orphanage, which is uh, owned by the Essex Corporation, which is a reference to Mr. Sinister, which we still have not seen a Mr. Sinister in
Mm-mm.
live action, but maybe we
Yeah.
will soon. And it's labeled as a mutant re-education center. So Russell's trying to break out of there. He calls Negasonic Teenage Warhead Justin Bieber, which I thought was pretty good. Um,
Yeah.
and
So
then
good.
Colossus is like, "Come quietly, or there will be trouble." And then both Russell and Deadpool, they're like, "You stole that from RoboCop." Like, I love how they like turn around and pull that on him. Um, then we see, Russell knock Deadpool into this building up, several stories up. There's a kid eating Hero Flakes, which Deadpool signs Ryan Reynolds' autograph on the box, which the box features Wolverine on the cover, which I thought was great. Then he does his
uh
like superhero landing. He lands on his,
so
and he's like,
bad.
it's not practical at all. It's not
No,
practical.
not at all.
Yeah. Um, yeah, a lot of great moments. Then we get where Cable enters the fray, And Brittany, do you have any like Cable moments you want to highlight, or as the story progresses?
I mean, seeing him in action, especially when he's fighting Deadpool in the ice box, right? Because at one point, Deadpool finally gets the collar knocked off of him, but that's after he's been like thrown off the balcony and he lands on the table, for eating, and he's just like broken in so many different points of his body. It's just like, oh my god, like you look like the letter Z or something at this point. And because the collar's off, powers are back in play for Deadpool. He's able to heal and take on Cable even further. And I can't remember all the dialogue between the two of them, but um there's always just great moments between Deadpool and whomever his scene partner is in the moment, because he's just riffing. Like that's just all that he does, and it's so good.
Let's talk about more superhero references. I love Deadpool has the collar on when they're in the prison in the icebox, and he's like, with this collar on, my superpower is just unbridled cancer. He's like, basically, just give me a bow and arrow, and I'm basically Hawkeye. A shot at Hawkeye. Then he references like when Cable enters the prison, he blows up their jail cell, or their where they're staying, and he's like, what did I do to piss off the grumpy old fucker with the Winter Soldier arm? Love that. Then when he finally faces off with Cable, the collar is off his neck, and he's like, hello, superpowers. And then he's like, and then Cable asks him, who are you? And he's like, I'm Batman.
Yeah, that was great.
And then they continue to fight, and Deadpool's like, you're so dark. Are you sure you're not from the DC universe?
Yeah.
I love that stuff.
Yeah.
All the superhero references were like spot on. I love how it's like a mixture of Marvel and DC, like obviously poking fun at the X-Men stuff too, but kind of hitting all parties. I enjoy that. Then we get to, Wade determines like, we've got to come up with a team here. We need a team that's tough, morally flexible, and young enough so they can carry this franchise for 10 to 12 years.
Yeah, we're X-Force.
I love that. And yeah, we see the X-Force. They're basically all killed by high winds except for Domino. She's able to survive. So her luck pays off.
I mean, even with like Peter.
Yeah, Peter.
AKA Sugar Bear. Yeah. When he has his reservations about jumping out of the plane, right? Because they're going to encounter the convoy that's taking these prisoners from the icebox to another location, right? And Deadpool's like, okay, we're gonna drop in here so I can grab Russell and we can go. But unbeknownst to them, that Cable is, obviously on their trail. But when Sugar Bear expresses his, concern and what have you, like Deadpool gets right in his face and starts yelling at him and just saying all these horrible things, and he finally whispers to Peter, because he's like scared shitless at this point. He finally whispers to Peter, he's like, I'm just yelling at you so the others, so in other words, he's not being treated different. He goes, he's like, I'm not gonna let anything happen to you, Sugar Bear. And he like touches his nose or something. It's just like really, really cute.
Yeah.
And he's so proud of his team when they, jump out of the airplane, and you see Bedlam, going first. He's like, yeah, Bedlam, like, you got this, what have you. Bedlam goes through a bus, dies horribly. Then we have who was the second one, Justin? Was it Shatterstar?
Zeitgeist or Shatterstar, one of the two.
Shatterstar. I think it was Shatterstar.
He goes into a helicopter.
He goes into a helicopter.
Yeah.
We get Green Ick, so
right.
He's definitely from a planet.
An alien, from Mojo.
An alien who says he's like, I'm literally better at everything than you are. And it's like, well, we found something you're not better at, And then we've got Skarsgård, who lands like in a what do you call it? The vehicle that makes mulch.
It's almost like a
It's like a
wood
wood
chipper,
chipper.
maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like a wood chipper. You know,
yeah.
his half of his body is, already going through. But Peter, who landed successfully, who was like the only one who did, he's like, yeah, we're X-Force. Yeah. He goes and tries to help get Skarsgård out of there, and Skarsgård spews his acid, gets all over Peter's arm. He loses the arm. You know, Brad Pitt. We talked about God, what was his name again? I'm spacing out on names, Justin. I feel like a
Vanisher.
terrible
Yeah.
Vanisher. Thank you.
Yeah,
Vanisher, proves to be a real person because he's wearing the backpack and you see it floating, but power lines, and there you are, Brad Pitt, for all of 3 seconds on screen. And you didn't make it because we saw the body fall on the ground as Deadpool is on his way with a stolen moped to go meet up with Domino and try to retrieve Russell. So X-Force, very limited.
very limited. And of course, they're trying to, like you said, they're trying to reach this convoy that has Russell, and they're trying to beat Cable there because Cable wants to kill Russell because Russell ends up killing his family in the future. So he's trying to kill the kid before that to stop the future from happening.
Yep.
And we get a Deadpool hits him with "hands off the kid, John Connor," reference to Terminator. And as we mentioned before, Fire Fist or Russell has befriended Juggernaut, and Juggernaut rips Deadpool in half, which is brutal looking. Then of course we get Deadpool coming back. Of course, before that, Domino uses his body as like a backpack. His upper and lower torso is like a backpack to carry him off. Then we get the scene where he's growing his legs back, and he's shirt cocking it, as they say, toddler style, straight Winnie the Pooh.
He does like the whole what is that movie, The Basic Instincts?
Yeah.
With what's her name?
Leg
when
cross,
she,
yeah.
leg
Sharon
cross,
Stone,
Sharon Stone, the wide open, and the cross. I mean, he does the exact same thing, and everyone just has like the same reaction. It's like, whoa, like it's too much.
And Deadpool, he tells Domino, "Zip it, Black Widow."
Yeah, exactly.
Another great reference. Then they finally get Cable joins he decides to help Deadpool and Domino and crew stop Russell from killing the headmaster and basically saving Cable's family. So we get that. Just a lot of cool stuff. Wade basically recreates John Cusack's moment from Say Anything with the boombox on his phone to try to convince Colossus to join the efforts.
Yep.
Yeah. Great stuff.
Mhm.
You get a great fight between Colossus and Juggernaut. That was cool. The big CGI battle between the two. You get Wade on Colossus' head, and he's like, "Hey, big guy, sun's getting really low." Like a Hulk reference.
Yeah, like the Hulk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of great stuff. And then let's zip to the end of the movie where Wade basically sacrifices himself to keep Cable from shooting the kid. Cable, then we have Deadpool trying to die. He dies for like 10 minutes, and he keeps like saying, "Oh,
back.
This is my last words. Oh, no, I'm back. It's so hard to leave." And so, what'd you think about how that portion of the movie where he dies like 3 or 4 times before he actually officially dies?
I don't know. It's a really big stretch to try to compare the two. I kind of felt like it was watching Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. It's like every character kind of had like their own ending, and you thought it was over and you're ready to get up and go. And that's kind of how I felt with watching Deadpool die, like 4 or 5 times, right? Here are 4 or 5 moments for you to be a hero. And in this case, that was kind of true for Deadpool with, coming back and saying his final words and what have you. And like for Russell to finally see like Deadpool, like actually, did care about him. And like he, you didn't have a family, but we can be your family, that kind of thing. And finally Deadpool has his heart in the right place. And when it's kind of realized and whatnot, he finally like let's go and c'est la vie.
Yeah. Yeah, but then then Cable realizes that it's not Deadpool's time to die, and Cable goes back in time, puts the skee ball token like in his chest where he fires the bullet, then that stops the bullet, and
Mhm.
we get that cool moment. But I do want to point out something I thought was very funny. Before Deadpool dies the first time, he gets Colossus to say fuck, and then after he says it, he's like, wow, he's like, enjoy hell, swamp mouth. I really enjoyed that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great stuff. And then
Mhm.
whenever Wade is brought back because Cable turned back time a little bit, you did Deadpool like saying like, you did it for me, and he's like, no, I didn't. He's like, yes, you did. But you did it for me. Like, um, going back and forth,
Yeah.
and the team is walking away. They've triumphed. They've kept Russell from killing the headmaster, and Cable's family's okay in the future. And then the headmaster comes out, and all of a sudden we see Dopender with the taxi drive over the guy and kill him. And Dopender, gets out.
God.
He's like, I want some more. And Deadpool's like, I bet you do, Brown Panther.
Dopender. He's the real hero in this
Yeah.
story. Like him in that damn cab. Like that's his weapon right there. He doesn't need a gun. He just needs his cab.
Right. And now we get to my second favorite part of this film, or actually my favorite part of the film. The opening sequence is my favorite opening sequence of any movie. And then the mid-credit scene, I believe, is the best mid-credits of all time, because even though the MCU has made its name on mid-credits, they don't have any of them that are this pivotal to the movie, because basically the mid-credits, Deadpool undoes everything that happens in the film, or the main things that happen in the film,
Right.
because we get Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Yukio. They repair Cable's time traveling device for Wade. He then uses it to go back and save Vanessa.
Yep.
And Peter. And then, all while Cher's Turn Back Time is playing, which is another great use of music.
Mhm.
He saves Vanessa, and he's like, we're definitely naming our kid Cher. He makes that decision as the music's playing. Then he goes back and he meets up with Wolverine from X-Men Origins Wolverine, which we talked about. And he ends up killing this guy. Weapon 11, Wade Wilson.
Look at that.
I just got this recently. I didn't even know this was even a thing, but
Oh my God.
it's quote unquote Deadpool from X-Men Origins Wolverine. So,
and in pop form, look at that.
Look at that guy. Got the markings on his body from what Stryker did to him. Got the mouth sewn shut. He's got the
katana blades
coming out of his hands. Anyway,
that
I
is
picked
so
this
cool.
up. Yeah, I thought it was a cool item to get. I love collecting that stuff. But
that is fun.
I love how Deadpool, he interrupts that scene, shoots Weapon X multiple times, and he's like, "Hey, it's me. Don't scratch." Talking to Wolverine, "I'm just cleaning up the timelines. Love you." And then he leaves. And then the single funniest part of the movie, Ryan Reynolds is looking at the script for Green Lantern, and he goes, "Welcome to the big leagues, kid." Deadpool blows his brains out and says, "You're welcome, Canada." And the movie ends on that. Yeah. Brittany, what do you think about these mid credits? Because like I said, I think they're the funniest, most entertaining, most pivotal mid credits in the history of film.
If that wasn't, I mean, of course, at this time, this movie was not part of the MCU. Right. It was a different studio.
Right.
If that wasn't kind of like pivotal in the direction of what the next saga for the MCU is going to be, which is, the multiverse, which is what we're in. I don't know what else could have like foreshadowed it better, honestly, like, because he's traveling through different timelines, and he's jumping into different a different movie altogether. He is jumping into Ryan Reynolds' real life, sort of timeline, and with Green Lantern, and it's like it's just so great. It's like he's wiping out things from the past, and if that could be something foreshadowing, of course, for this movie, Deadpool and Wolverine, because we know that the TVA is going to be involved. TVA for those who may not be aware of it, it's Time Variant Authority, which was first introduced to us in the Disney Plus Marvel series Loki. Man, that was tough to put together in my head. Sorry, it's been a very long day. But that being said, we know that the TVA is going to be in Deadpool and Wolverine. So like I'm sure there's going to be some sort of tie-in because of what Deadpool is doing in order to get Wolverine and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, no, I think that was such a creative mid-credit because we get like a lot of these mid-credits and post-credits in the MCU, and some of them have not really paid off.
Yeah.
Whereas this one was like, we get it and it paid off almost immediately. Right.
Yeah.
So that was like the best use of a mid-credit that I think I have ever seen.
Well, it's a kind of mid-credit where if you're someone who left right when the movie ended, you didn't get the full experience of the movie. Like
exactly.
There had to be tons of people because every movie I go to, even the Marvel movies, like, yeah, most people stick around, but there's a lot of people that just bounce the second the movie ends. So this one is just like, it undoes Vanessa's death, which is a huge part of the film, and the other stuff is kind of, joke stuff, but very, very well executed jokes, by the way. Before we kind of get to some questions and talk about some stuff that's coming up this weekend, Brittany, do you have any final thoughts on this movie?
No, it's just, this is the fun movie. Like it's so outside of the box. Like Ryan Reynolds and production have really gone out of their way to like push boundaries and to just do something that's fun. It's entertaining. It's action packed. It's an overall great movie. And it makes me very excited, of course, for this third installment for the Deadpool series.
Totally agree. I love this movie.
Yeah.
Let's get to some of the comments. Some of them we missed along the way.
We did.
So we got one here from Rahib about talking about vampires. What do you think about Blade in the post-credit scene from Eternals? Obviously, he's talking about the fact that Blade's voice was heard in the Eternals post-credit.
Yep.
Blade, I know about a month ago they talked about how the movie is, it's still in the works, but they're not going to.
They can't keep a director.
Right. They're basically trying to make the best movie they can, and they're not just going to put it out there. So I think we will see Blade eventually. Now we might see Wesley Snipes' version of Blade in Deadpool and Wolverine. I think that's definitely on the table. But I do think we will get a Blade movie at some point, but there's no real rush. I don't think. I think like, I'd rather them get it right than just put something out. So,
I agree because I'm assuming that we are going to also get Kit Harington in some fashion with the Blade
as
movie
the Black Knight. Yeah.
As the Black Knight. Yeah. Because that was kind of the whole thing with the post-credit in Eternals was him, opening the sword box and then you hear Blade. Sorry, I was thinking of the actor's name and spaced out on his name. Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Thank you. We hear him in the background, and yeah, so I'm excited. I love Mahershala Ali as an actor. I think he's incredible. So for him to be cast as Blade, I just feel like he's getting shortchanged because it's like this movie can't progress if you don't have a director who's going to stick around for the movie. But yes, I'd rather get a good quality movie than something that's rushed just to meet a deadline, right? So
couldn't agree more. Another one for Rahib we have, what do you think about Kevin's cameo in Deadpool and Wolverine? If you're talking about Kevin Feige, honestly, I don't know that Kevin Feige's in this movie. We do know that in She-Hulk, he was they had a character named Kevin with the acronym Kevin. I know he's not, from what I've heard and read, he's not really keen on being in front of the camera. So he might be in this movie, but I don't think we need it necessarily. But I mean, he very well could be. It'd be cool if he were, but I don't think we need it. What do you think, Brittany?
I don't think it's necessary. I mean, I kind of also wouldn't want him to necessarily do it because I feel like that was something that Stan Lee did because Stan Lee was like the creator of all these comics. And for Kevin to, let's say, make a cameo in like one movie or one show or and continue that kind of like the tradition. I don't care for it. Like that was Stanley. That was his thing. Like let that end with him,
Yeah.
obviously, because he's been gone for so long at this point. I don't think it's necessary. He's successful without having to be in front of the camera. So
Yeah.
like it's not truly necessary in my opinion. But also,
Right.
if there's something that you've seen or heard,
Yeah, don't
don't
spoil it.
necessarily ask us. Don't spoil it for us,
Yeah,
okay?
don't
Like,
spoil it.
yeah.
But if you were gonna have Kevin Feige be a part of the MCU on camera, it makes sense having it either be in She-Hulk or in Deadpool because both characters break the fourth wall. So
Yeah.
you could do it that way. But I don't think we need it.
No. Not at all.
Another one from Rahib talking about how it's not explained about how Deadpool can heal his body no matter how much he gets hurt, but his face can't come back to this original form. That's just, I think, one of those comics things, right? Where it's
Yeah.
just, it's, yeah. I mean, if his face could heal, then he would have no problems, really, except for,
Right.
the fact that he really can't die unless his powers are stripped from him. So,
And because he's also like suited like throughout the whole movie, you really don't get to see his arms, you don't see his legs, you don't see like his whole body. Like you may see his hands periodically, but I think his hands are still in the same condition as perhaps his face. So yes, he's had limbs blown off and regrown, but I don't think they're like brand new. I think they still carry the same condition as what is on his face because he still has the cancer. I think Ajax in the first movie talked about how while the cancer cells are continuously reforming, the mutation that took is also constantly fighting against it. But it took basically suffocating Wade Wilson in that tank in order for the mutation to take, and that's why his physical appearance is the way that it is, because his face was dehydrated. It was not getting what it needed in order
oxygen,
to
yeah.
look oxygen. And thank you. This has been a really long day for me. It wasn't getting what it needed in order to stay looking good and like Ryan Reynolds. So yeah, I think that's pretty close to the explanation that we can get. Now, yes, head has been blown off, but you can't really regrow the head
right.
like you can with the limbs. So that perhaps is the reason why his face continues to look the way that it does. And the rest of the body, maybe not so much.
Yeah, exactly. So Brittany, this weekend we're kind of doing a special thing because we don't typically do weekend shows, except for we've done obviously House of the Dragon. We've done those Sunday nights, but this Sunday afternoon, we're going to have a special episode of the Watchers in the Basement. We're hoping that everyone who joins us typically is able to watch Deadpool Wolverine before 3:00 on Sunday. This Sunday, July 28th, we're going to come on here live at 3:00, and we want to hear your questions. We want to get your thoughts about the movie. We're going to tell you what we think about it. I'm seeing the movie Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Maybe I'll see it again on Sunday in the morning. I'm not sure. We'll see, but I'm for sure seeing the movie 3 times. I will be as prepared as possible, and I'm sure there's things I will miss. So we want everyone to be sure to join us on July 28th, which is Sunday at 3 p.m., as we're going to talk about this movie in depth, talk about all the cameos, what happened in this film, what do we think is going to happen next. We're going to hit it from all angles. Brittany, I'm excited. I cannot wait to see this movie. I'm going to see it in less than 48 hours, and I'm super excited. I just hope
Contain yourself.
Honestly, with our power outage problem here in Houston, I just hope my theater doesn't lose power because
don't worry, you'll have 2 more chances. You'll be fine.
Yeah, but if it happens in that first time, I'm going to lose my mind. So, because I bought these tickets literally 2 months ago for the first 2 showings. So I am very excited. We hope all of you are excited too. Once again, when you see the movie, don't spoil it for other people. On Sunday, that's when we'll talk spoilers. So join us on Sunday. We will spoil everything then. Of course, if you haven't seen the movie, don't join us on Sunday. Join us some other time later on. You can revisit this upcoming episode, and of course, join us for other future episodes. But I'm really looking forward to getting everyone's thoughts on the film because this is our only MCU movie of the year, and I think this is going to be the biggest movie of the year, certainly the biggest superhero movie of the year. And we want to hear everybody in our community what they have to say about it.
For sure. Yeah. Hopefully, the plan is to see it this weekend in the morning because I'm at an age where I don't like being around people anymore. So I don't do night movies anymore. It's early morning, or I'm not doing it at all. So the plan is to see it in the morning this weekend. I recently learned that a couple of coworkers are sick with the plague. Hopefully I won't get it either.
Yeah.
I would hate to be out in public, even with a mask,
Mhm.
to potentially expose people. So that's just me personally, but hopefully that will happen. So everyone, fingers crossed, cross your toes, knock on wood.
Right.
Let's hope that I don't get sick. Justin, I'm not worried about. He's off. He's good. He's away. So
Thanks for not worrying about me. I don't really understand why you're not worried about me, but
not worried about you. You're fine.
appreciate it. Yeah.
You're not exposed to the elements that is our office. Anyway, but anyway, so yeah, hopefully all will be well. I will get to see this movie. Join Justin at 3 p.m. on Sunday, July 28th for our spoiler review of Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes. And also, like I said, Comic-Con is this weekend. So by Sunday, we should know pretty much everything that's happened. So we'll probably talk about some Comic-Con stuff too. What Marvel announces. Maybe DC will have some stuff. Yeah, we've got a comment here from Mr. Loomis checking in. Says the Deadpool Wolverine has a 79 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay.
That's a very early score, hopefully. I hope the movie is better than that, but we'll see. I don't always agree with Rotten Tomatoes, so we'll see how it goes.
That's true.
And the sirens are on my end, so I'll let you talk, Brittany.
Rahib asks, will Amber be joining us for the review? Great question. I am not sure if she will be able to watch the movie in time for the review. I know, I believe her partner is into these movies, but I'm not sure she herself is, truth be told. But yeah, we'll certainly ask her, see if she will join. I was hoping she'd join us, Justin, for House of the Dragon on Sundays after it premieres, because we do an instant podcast review of the episode that drops every Sunday. So we're just 2 episodes away from the season ending, and it's bonkers. Absolutely bonkers. It's been a great season thus far. So hopefully everyone out there will not only join us for Deadpool and Wolverine at 3 p.m. Central Time on Sunday, they'll also join us about 9:30 p.m. Central Time for House of the Dragon.
Yeah, that's right. We're pulling double duty on Sunday. So
I'm tired.
Yeah. Make sure you're able to join us for both. Certainly for one of them, but both if you can, we would appreciate it. And yeah, so Brittany, now everyone knows what we think about Deadpool 2 and obviously how excited we are for Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yep.
We want to know what everyone else is out there thinking. How can they let us know?
Hey, join us for our next live. Join us on Sunday for our back-to-back pods, essentially, for Deadpool and Wolverine, and later for House of the Dragon. But more importantly, Deadpool and Wolverine. Yes, join us for our live chat. Then be sure to subscribe. We've learned recently that about 80% of those who watch our reviews are not subscribed to us. So do us a favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button while you're at it, and hit that notification bell. That way you know the next time we go live. Once again, that's Sunday, 3 p.m. Central Time for our review of Deadpool and Wolverine. Don't forget to follow us on our social media. You can find all those links in our About section here on YouTube. And also we have audio podcasts available on Apple and Spotify. Be sure to give us a follow there and also give us a 5-star rating.
Thank you, Brittany. I appreciate it. So for Brittany, I'm Justin saying thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We will see you next time. Have a good night. And because this guy can't say it because his mouth is sewn shut, maximum effort. Have a great Deadpool and Wolverine week. We can't wait to talk to y'all on Sunday. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
We're X-Force.
There we go.